Hey, it's Les from the TV Dudes. This week, I chat with Jessie McCormack, the award-winning filmmaker who wrote, directed, produced, and is starring in the new web series Piss Off, I Love You. Now, I love that title, and I got to see the first episode. It's a very funny look at the cultural differences between America and the UK, acted out by some very funny women. The pilot screened as part of the Dances with Films web pilots section, and Jessie was gracious enough to speak with me about how to wear all the hats in a production, her experience of filming in London, the joys of working with friends, and much more. I hope you enjoy. I really appreciate you making time today. Are you
Oh, thank you.
are you in the States in Pacific time, or are you in England and we're just
I
arranging on a
I
third time zone for the fun of it?
no, I am in LA,
Ah,
so it is 9 a.m. where I am.
I have found before. I realize I'm talking to someone like in France at dinner, and and we have and I'm in Texas, and we have just made arrangements in a third time zone that we've all agreed that the clock in San Dimas is always running or something. Uh, so in getting to watch I got to watch the first episode on the screener, and it's great. There's been
Oh,
Ted
thank
Lasso
you.
out right now. I've seen a few things recently that have played with this fish out of water, American abroad, but I feel like your show particularly is ready to dive into some of the pushback and the back and forth on it. The first time I think I was ever overseas was right after we had elected W for the second time, and
Uh-huh.
or first time, I don't know, however you want to look at it. Um, and so every time I was in a bar, it was an immediate. Everybody would get a few pints in them, and then like tables of strangers would look over and like, "Hey, what's with your president?" I'm like, "God, I didn't do this."
Yeah.
And of course, now that I'm sure is a lot more intense, but they've also done some boneheaded stuff in the interim as well, and with Brexit, which gets brought up in the first episode. So I don't feel like it's quite as high a ground as they were standing on last time. Um, can you talk a little bit about both what made you want to tackle this particular type of fish out of water story right now? Was it just a travel opportunity that fell in your lap, or was it a comedy goal that you've always had, or a great script in a drawer? How did you get into
Uh,
this?
it, it was a few things. So I have spent a lot of time in the UK from the time I was a very small child and throughout my 20s. I had spent a lot of time there. And so I have a lot of dear family friends and friends over there. And London is just a place that's very close to my heart. And the woman Gaynor Howe, who is my co-star in the show, she plays Gina, the Scottish woman. Um, she is one of my dearest friends in real life. We actually met at a film festival over 10 years ago, and we just clicked and have been like family ever since. Even though we live on opposite sides of the ocean, it's kind of remarkable. And so I wrote it for us to act in together along with her real life daughters who play her daughters on the show. And that was sort of the genesis of it. I just thought Gaynor was a terrific actor. That's how I was introduced to her because she had a feature at this film festival that she was in, and I thought she was terrific. And then we struck up a friendship, and I thought, hey, I want to. She lives in London with her family, is the other thing. And since I had spent so much time over there, it just kind of got the wheels turning. And I thought I should really write something for us to do together. But it's funny, I actually kind of tried to weasel out of acting in it at the last minute. I was wearing multiple hats. I wrote it, I directed it, and I was an executive producer on it. But then her kids kind of formed a coup and said that they wouldn't act in it unless I acted in it as well. So I jumped back in, and we were off to the races.
On the one hand, I can't imagine wearing that many hats in a project and not just losing your mind. But also, I really can't imagine you getting someone else to play this part in the particular, to thread the needle exactly how you'd want it, I think would be maddening. To try to direct someone else to do this. Because I could see where the tone of comedy that is slightly picking on, your stupid differences and my stupid differences.
Everyone's being picked on in this show.
Could get really, it could lose the balance really easily. And so I think having that level of kind of singular vision to it would really help. Were there particular, I'm sure every production has particular challenges, but you've made several shorts and then of course, Expecting. Can you talk a bit about what you love about being able to control a project like that? The way I always think of shorts is, well, if you want to see the project you want made, you're going to have to make it. And so this is a way to do your own thing. But can you talk about getting this entire thing rolling, being all the hats, and the particular challenges of trying to shoot it? When did you do this in regard to the pandemic?
We shot this way before the pandemic, so thankfully that wasn't an issue. But yeah, it's definitely difficult to wear so many hats. But like you alluded to, as the actor, I always knew what the director wanted. So in a way, there was that shortcut. But it was definitely a lot. I'm not going to lie. And I think because Gaynor and I had such a shorthand, that helped so much. And we already had such a built-in history together. And her girls I sort of refer to them as my honorary goddaughters. And we really are like a family anyway. So I didn't have to worry about that aspect of it, which was huge. But, I hadn't acted in many years. I was really focusing on writing and directing. As you mentioned, I made the speech you're expecting, and did some other things. And so I was definitely nervous going in, like, can I do this again? Am I even going to be able to remember my lines, when I am dealing with so many different aspects. But it wound up being really fun, actually. And I, it was definitely exhausting, but I had a really wonderful time making it. And I have to say that this cast and crew, it was just the loveliest group of people. And, 99.9% of the cast and the crew I had not even met before. So it was really a leap of faith on everyone's part. And everyone, they were all in the UK, and it just worked out really wonderfully. And had it not been this particular group of people, it really could have gone sideways. So I'm just so grateful, not to sound Pollyanna about it, but I really, it was.
I had kind of thought that you and Gaynor had to know each other. Either that or y'all should be in everything together, because if they cast two people randomly out of a waiting room and got that level of comfort together, it's great.
Oh, that's so nice.
And was it odd going between having this best friend shorthand versus a crew of folks that you didn't know?
I thought it was going to be, and the first day of the shoot was definitely rough. I won't lie. I mean, that's kind of true a lot of the time. The first day, you're often finding your sea legs. And then after that, it just was really smooth sailing. And again, had it been a different group of people, it would have been kind of awful, I think. But I was surprised by how quickly we all were able to just be on the same page. And part of it was, our wonderful DP, Nick Cook, he was working with his crew that he had worked with forever. And some other people already knew each other already. It was just that I didn't necessarily know them. So it wasn't, not everyone was a stranger coming into it. And of course I knew Gaynor and her girls. So And we also had a terrific casting director, Theo Park. She's worked on a lot of big projects, and she was able to get people to read the script that probably normally wouldn't have, because web series haven't really taken off in the UK the way they have here. So fortunately, people really, well, first they took Theo's call because she's Theo. I had nothing to do with that. And then fortunately, they responded to the scripts. We wound up shooting 6 episodes. Not wound up. That was the intention the whole time. And then, so it kind of all coalesced in a really organic way, thankfully.
And I know that y'all just recently got into the Dances with Films web pilots stuff, and that'll be coming up in September. Distribution for short films for web series has fascinated me over the last few years, as that has changed, and the industry's not always quick to recognize it. And then, of course, now with the pandemic situation, there's I feel like people are looking at home distribution models a lot more seriously, of like, oh, it's a web series, and that doesn't denote it's a toy car or something. I'm getting all of my movies. I mean,
we are still figuring all that out.
Has that been different for in terms of your career and moving towards doing short films and having now making this web series and everything? Do you feel like you're getting to learn in an exciting new place where there's Wild West and everybody's figuring the rules out, or was it shifting sand under your feet to try to make this thing and just have to put out of your mind, like, we'll just put it on the web and hope to God it works?
It's a little bit of a combo of everything you just said. I am definitely learning. This is all new to me. I had never shot a web series before. And, we're still figuring out like what distribution model we'll be using. And so it is a little bit like the Wild West. I mean, I had talked to a lot of people about the web series they had made, and no one had the same experience, really. So it's definitely different than, say, making a feature film, which I did, and that was a more conventional distribution process. But this is totally different. But this allowed me to really do what I wanted, and it is a roll of the dice, and we'll see what happens. But I had this opportunity to make this, and I had to make it during a certain window of time. So I did move forward on it, not knowing exactly where it will land. But, it's all a leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you make something independent, you often don't know where it's going to be seen, and you just have to kind of make peace with that.
I always feel like situations like that bring film back down to, or bring television or any kind of filmed entertainment back down to the kind of art that I think of from like art school, from doing painting in college and stuff. Of you can't sweat where the audience is for this. You can't sit down to write a script and go, well, hard sci-fi selling this year, I'm going to only write that. You've got to believe in it and want to see it done. As there's just going to be too many points in the process where that's going to be the only candle left lit that's keeping you going. It's because you want to see it done. And I think that's easy to forget sometimes. And I love when I see series where, like, no, I know that this would not have happened if Jessie McCormack did not want this to happen. Or this show would not be on my screen right now. One of the things that I caught from the trailer, or that the trailer seemed to allude to, even though the first episode was kind of felt purely funny to me, it seems like the series total is going to get into more of why America was in bed at noon to take a phone call. And
America being my character, those who haven't
seen it. Yes. So Sandy, America is in bed at noon and getting grilled by a friend. Can you talk a little bit about? Obviously, I'm looking forward to seeing it. Please don't spoil it for me. But a little bit about the emotional arc story that you wanted to tell with this, beyond just a like look at Goofy American overseas?
Sure. Well, my character's father died recently, so we do get into that a little bit, and how she's mourning her father, and I wanted to portray a father-daughter relationship where it was actually a really positive one. I feel like we see dysfunctional parental-child relationships so much that I wanted to portray one that was really positive, and which makes that mourning process have a different layer of poignancy, I think. And so, when my goal in making this web series was to say, look, this could be a TV show, and so I didn't want it to just seem like the Goofy American going over to England. I wanted to give it a little bit more gravitas. So, it's not something that we spend a ton of time with on the show because, these are shorter episodes, but it really lends itself to a half-hour TV format, and that relationship with Sandy's dad. And, we would delve, but you do see glimpses of it throughout the series.
Yeah, there's times where I watch stuff and I can't put my finger on what makes something feel like a short film or a web series or YouTube versus I don't know. There's times where I watch independent movies and go, I don't know what's missing here. The technical thing that's not here that makes this seem like I would see it in a Cinemark theater. And as soon as I sat down to Piss Off, I Love You, there was an immediate no, there's whatever professionalism that I don't know the tech term for is present, and this looks like a TV series. This does not feel like a collection of. This doesn't feel like a collection of web clips about a character that you're workshopping.
Thank you. I mean, that really was my number one goal, is that I want this to feel like a TV show. And, a lot of that is because of our DP, Nick Cook, and this whole crew that we worked with that were just they were all so talented and hardworking. And then another aspect of it, I think, is that I was able to bug a lot of friends for locations. So this show actually has more locations than my feature film did, which is pretty unusual for a web series. But I was able to shoot in so many free locations that I really wanted to maximize that opportunity. And in a weird way, I would have had fewer places to shoot if I did this in LA. So that was another reason why I wanted to shoot in London, was because I had all these wonderful places where I could shoot. And of course it's London, so why wouldn't you want to do that?
That's wild. I think of London like New York, where surely it's got to cost $1 million to get a permit for a minute and everywhere in the city is locked down like that. That's
I grew
amazing.
up in New York City, so I have that attitude as well. But in some strange way, it's actually, there's less red tape shooting over there. And in some ways it's harder, but because I was shooting inside people's houses a lot, I didn't need a permit for that. Mm-hmm. So it worked out really well. And in some cases we cheated it so that one house acted as more than one location, the magic of movie making, where you can use one location to make it seem like, oh, there's a doctor's office here, and there's a bedroom, and there's a classroom. You can do so many different things if you have a terrific production designer, which we did. Her name is Karis Beard, and I just can't say enough about her. She's a wizard. The way she just changed locations and allowed us to shoot multiple scenes from different episodes in the same location, because she made it look so different each time. It's really, I can't say enough about her.
You had spoken earlier about the casting as well. I cannot remember if the character has an actual name, but the little girl on the park bench, who my brain just
Pippa.
Yeah, I just think of her as Veruca Salt, honestly.
Totally.
And yeah,
that's not by accident.
She's perfect. Yeah, she is absolutely
I know.
perfect.
We were so lucky to get her. Like, apparently she's like one of the most in-demand child actors in the UK. And I didn't think we would have a shot in getting her, but we did. And she was so wonderful and professional. And like, I was like, I got to keep up with this kid. It was really funny.
Well, I'm looking forward to sharing the episode around to my other co-hosts so we can talk about it this week. And then obviously best of luck at Dances with Films. Hopefully y'all.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I really appreciate it.
TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.